Dr. Zixathera looked at the small blue planet floating in the darkness of space. His ship, the Probabilistic Dawn, hung quietly at the edge of the solar system. The planet looked peaceful from here. White clouds moved slowly across green and brown land. Large areas of blue water covered most of its surface. He had done this job many times before. The Galactic Council sent him to study new species before they made contact. His job was simple: figure out how dangerous they might be. Most species were easy to understand. They followed the same patterns. They grew slowly. They learned slowly. They expanded slowly. Zixathera touched the control panel with his long, thin fingers. Information flowed across the screen in front of him. The planet was called Earth by its people. The dominant species called themselves humans. They had only recently learned to leave their planet, and not very well. Their rockets were loud, dangerous, and barely worked half the time. The ship's computer voice spoke in his ear. "Initial scan complete, Dr. Zixathera. Species classification appears straightforward. Show me what you found," he said. Numbers and charts appeared on his screen. The humans had been around for only a few 100,000 years. That was nothing compared to most galactic species. They still fought wars with each other over simple things like land and resources. They had only visited their own moon a few times, and that was decades ago. "Threat assessment?" Zixathera asked. "0.3 out of 10, the computer replied. "They are primitive and pose no significant risk to galactic civilization." Zixathera nodded. That seemed right. He had studied species that could travel between stars in days. He had met beings that could think faster than any computer. Some species could survive in the vacuum of space without protection. Humans needed bulky suits just to walk on their own moon. He watched the planet turn slowly below. The humans seemed to spend most of their time in small groups, living in structures that looked fragile and temporary. Their cities produced large amounts of waste and pollution. They cut down their forests and filled their oceans with trash. They did not seem to understand how to take care of their own world. "Run a deeper scan," Zixathera said. "I want to see their technology levels." More information appeared. The humans still burned fossil fuels for energy. They had only recently learned to split atoms, and they mostly used this knowledge to make weapons. Their computers were large, slow, and primitive. They still used metal wires to send information from one place to another. Zixathera shook his head. Most species had moved past such basic technology millions of years ago. The humans were like children playing with dangerous toys they did not understand. But something bothered him as he looked at the data. The numbers showed the humans were primitive, but some of their behaviors seemed strange. When their cities were destroyed by natural disasters, they rebuilt them in the same dangerous places. When their ships failed in space, they kept trying to build better ones. When diseases killed millions of them, they worked until they found cures. "Computer, show me their response patterns to environmental challenges," he said. New charts appeared. Zixathera studied them carefully. Most species, when faced with a dangerous environment, would either avoid it or adapt slowly over thousands of years. But humans did something different. They changed their environment to suit them, usually in just a few generations. They lived in deserts by bringing water from far away. They lived in frozen places by creating heat. They even lived underwater and high in the mountains where the air was too thin to breathe. They did not adapt to their world. They made their world adapt to them. "Interesting," Zixathera said to himself. He pulled up more information about human expansion. In just a few thousand years, they had spread to every corner of their planet. They lived in places that should have killed them. They ate foods that were poisonous to most life forms. They survived injuries that would be fatal to other species. The computer spoke again. "Dr. Zixathera, I am detecting some unusual patterns in human behavior. They do not follow standard evolutionary models." "What do you mean?" "When faced with obstacles, they do not seek the most efficient solution. Instead, they try many different approaches simultaneously. Many of these approaches should fail according to mathematical probability, but the success rate is higher than predicted." Zixathera frowned. He had never seen anything like that before. Every species he had studied followed logical patterns. They found the best solution to a problem and used it. They did not waste energy on approaches that were likely to fail. "Show me specific examples," he said. The screen filled with images of human activities. He saw them jumping out of aircraft for entertainment. He saw them climbing tall mountains for no practical reason. He saw them diving deep underwater to explore places that had no value. They seemed to seek out danger and difficulty. In one image, humans were running toward a natural disaster to help other humans escape. In another, they were trying to save animals that served no purpose to their survival. They spent enormous amounts of resources to rescue single individuals, even when it put many others at risk. "This makes no sense," Zixthera said. "Why do they help others at their own expense? Why do they take unnecessary risks?" The computer was quiet for a long moment. "I cannot explain these behaviors using standard models, Dr. Zixthera. They appear to act against their own self-interest on a regular basis." Zixthera studied more images. Humans created art that had no survival value. They explored space even though it was expensive and dangerous. They kept animals as companions instead of food sources. They spent lifetimes studying things that would never help them survive. Most confusing of all, they seemed to enjoy solving problems that other species would simply avoid. When something was declared impossible, humans appeared to take it as a personal challenge. "Computer, what is your current threat assessment?" There was a pause. "I am uncertain, Dr. Zixthera. The standard parameters do not seem to apply to this species. They achieve success through methods that should not work." Zixthera looked out at the blue planet again. It did not look dangerous. The humans did not have powerful weapons compared to other galactic species. Their ships could barely reach their own moon. Their technology was centuries behind the galactic standard, but something nagged at him. In all his years of studying species, he had never encountered one that so consistently did the unexpected. Other species were predictable. You could model their behavior and know what they would do in any situation, but humans seemed to change their approach based on some factor he could not identify. "Continue monitoring," he said. "I want daily reports on their activities." "Should I prepare the final assessment report?" the computer asked. "Not yet," Zixthera said. "I think we need to watch them a bit longer." He had a feeling that there was something important he was missing about these humans. Something that did not show up in the standard scans and measurements. Something that might change everything about how the Galactic Council should approach this species. The blue planet continued to turn slowly in the darkness, keeping its secrets hidden beneath those moving white clouds. 3 weeks had passed since Dr. Zixthera first arrived at Earth. He should have finished his report by now and moved on to the next assignment. But the humans kept doing things that made no sense. Every time he thought he understood them, they surprised him again. Against all protocols, he decided to get closer. The Galactic Council rules were clear. Observers should stay at least 1 light minute away from any planet they were studying. But Zixthera could not get accurate data from so far away. He needed to see what the humans were really doing. He moved his ship to the edge of Earth's moon and deployed his stealth probes. These small devices could watch human activities without being detected. At least they could not be detected by any technology the humans should possess. The first probe he sent down landed in a place humans called the Amazon rainforest. Zixthera expected to see primitive humans living simple lives, maybe hunting animals and gathering plants. Instead, he found something that shocked him. The humans had built a research station in the middle of the jungle. Scientists from many different countries worked together, studying plants and animals. But they were not just studying. They were finding new medicines, new materials, new ways to solve problems. They worked in an environment that was trying to kill them every day. Poisonous snakes, deadly insects, diseases that could kill in hours. The heat and humidity would be fatal to most galactic species, but the humans seemed to enjoy it. They wore simple protective clothing and went about their work with enthusiasm. When one scientist was bitten by a venomous spider, the others quickly treated him and he was back to work the next day. When their equipment broke down in the humid conditions, they fixed it with whatever materials they could find. "Computer," Zixthera said, "explain how they survive in this environment." "They do not survive, Dr. Zixthera. They thrive. Their bodies appear to adapt to new conditions faster than any species on record. More importantly, they modify their environment and create tools to overcome limitations." Zixthera sent another probe to a place called Antarctica. Surely the humans could not survive in such a cold, empty place. But again, he was wrong. The humans had built research stations on the ice. They lived there for months at a time, studying the weather and the ice and the stars. The temperature outside would freeze most galactic species solid in minutes. The wind would knock down most structures. There was no food, no water except ice, no materials to build with. It should have been impossible for humans to live there. But they did. They flew in supplies with aircraft that should not have been able to function in such conditions. They melted ice for water and generated power with machines that worked even in the extreme cold. When storms trapped them for days, they waited patiently and continued their work. "Show me their death rates in these extreme environments," Zixthera said. "Surprisingly low, Dr. Zixthera. They lose fewer individuals to environmental hazards than most species lose to normal daily activities on their home planets." The third probe went to a place called Mount Everest. Zixthera had chosen it because it was the highest point on the planet. The air was too thin to breathe. The temperature was deadly and the terrain was almost impossible to navigate. No intelligent species would try to go there. But humans climbed it regularly. Not for resources or territory or any logical reason. They climbed it because it was difficult. They climbed it to prove they could. They climbed it for what they called the challenge. Zixthera watched in amazement as humans carried heavy equipment up the mountain, breathing through masks, moving slowly but steadily upward. When some of them got sick from the thin air, others helped them down. When equipment failed, they shared what they had. When the weather turned dangerous, they waited and then tried again. "Computer, this behavior serves no evolutionary purpose," he said. "Why do they risk their lives for no gain?" "I have been analyzing human psychology, Dr. Zixthera. They appear to derive satisfaction from overcoming difficult challenges. The more difficult the challenge, the greater their satisfaction. They seem to view obstacles as puzzles to be solved rather than dangers to be avoided." Over the following days, Zixthera's probes showed him more impossible things. Humans lived in deserts where the heat would kill most species. They lived in swamps full of diseases and predators. They lived in cities where millions of them crowded together, creating problems that should have led to collapse and war. Instead, they created solutions. When too many humans lived in one place, they built taller buildings. When they ran out of food, they found ways to grow more in smaller spaces. When diseases spread, they developed medicines and changed their behavior to stop the spread. But what amazed Zixthera most was how quickly they adapted. Other species took thousands of years to change their behavior. Humans did it in decades, sometimes in just a few years. He watched them turn a city that had been destroyed by an earthquake into an even bigger city in less than 10 years. He watched them clean up polluted rivers and bring back plants and animals that had been dying. He watched them take deserts and turn them into farmland. "Computer, update the threat assessment," he said. There was a long pause. "Dr. Zixthera, the assessment parameters are producing conflicting results. The human's test is primitive in technology and social organization, but their adaptability and problem-solving capacity exceed galactic averages by significant margins." "What does that mean for the threat level?" "I cannot calculate a meaningful threat level, Dr. Zixthera. They do not fit any known models." Zixthera felt a chill run through his body. In all his years of studying species, he had never encountered anything the computer could not assess. Every species fit into neat categories. Every behavior followed predictable patterns. But humans seemed to operate outside those patterns. They succeeded where they should have failed. They survived where they should have died. They thrived in conditions that should have destroyed them. He pulled up the historical data his probes had gathered. For thousands of years, humans had faced one crisis after another. Ice ages that should have killed them. Diseases that should have wiped them out. Wars that should have destroyed their civilization. Natural disasters that should have set them back centuries. But every time they recovered faster than before. Every time they learned something new. Every time they became stronger. "Dr. Zixthera," the computer said, "I am detecting unusual behavior in the threat assessment system." "What kind of unusual behavior?" "The numbers keep changing. Every time I input new data about human capabilities, the assessment level increases. But there is no upper limit programmed into the system. The scale only goes to 10. Zixthera looked at his instruments. The threat assessment display was flickering between different numbers. As he watched, it jumped from 0.3 to 2.1 to 5.7 to 8.4. "That should not be possible," he said. "The system appears to be having difficulty processing human behavioral data." "Dr. Zixthera, their success rate in impossible situations is breaking the mathematical models." Zixthera realized he needed to understand more about human psychology. He directed his probes to monitor human communication networks. What he found there made everything even more confusing. Humans shared information freely with each other. They collaborated with strangers. They helped people they had never met solve problems they did not even have. They created tools and gave them away for free. They spent time teaching others skills that could help them compete for resources. It was completely illogical. Every other species guarded their knowledge carefully. They shared only with close family or allies. They competed for every advantage. But humans seemed to believe that helping others made everyone stronger. They acted as if the success of other humans was their own success. Computer, Zixathera said slowly. What happens when a species like this encounters advanced galactic technology? Dr. Zixathera had been watching Earth for 3 months now. His original mission should have taken 3 days. But every piece of new information about humans made him more worried. The computer's threat assessment display had been flickering wildly for weeks, jumping between impossible numbers. He decided to study human history more carefully. If he could understand how they had developed over time, maybe he could predict what they would do in the future. What he found made his blood run cold. Humans did not just adapt to challenges. They turned every challenge into a tool for growth. When food was scarce, they did not just find new sources of food. They invented agriculture and learned to grow more food than they could eat. When predators threatened them, they did not just build better defenses. They domesticated the predators and turned them into allies. When the climate changed and ice covered much of their world, humans did not just survive. They spread into new territories and learned to use tools that other species would not develop for millions of years. When diseases killed large portions of their population, they did not just mourn their dead. They studied the diseases and learned to prevent them. Every disaster made them stronger. Every problem became an opportunity to learn something new. Computer, show me examples of human conflict resolution, Zixathera said. The screen filled with images that confused him even more. Humans fought terrible wars with each other, wars that killed millions of people. But after the wars ended, they did not just rebuild. They created new technologies, new medicines, new ways of organizing society. They turned the tools of war into tools of peace. They used rocket technology designed for weapons to explore space. They used communication systems built for military purposes to connect people around the world. They used materials developed for armor to protect workers and travelers. This is not normal, Zixathera said to himself. Species are supposed to be weakened by conflict, not strengthened by it. He pulled up data on human entertainment. Surely this would show him something normal about their psychology, but even their entertainment was disturbing. Humans created stories and games where they faced impossible odds and somehow won. They seemed to practice overcoming challenges even when they were trying to relax. Their heroes were not the strongest or the smartest. Their heroes were the ones who refused to give up when everything seemed hopeless. They told stories about ordinary people who did extraordinary things when the situation demanded it. Dr. Zixathera, the computer said, I have completed analysis of human technological development patterns. Show me. Charts and graphs appeared on his screen. Zixathera studied them carefully. Human technology had advanced slowly for most of their history, but in the last few hundred years the pace had increased dramatically. In just the past century they had gone from simple machines to computers, from walking to flying to beginning space travel. The acceleration pattern is unprecedented, the computer said. Most species take millions of years to achieve what humans have accomplished in thousands. What is causing the acceleration? Competition and collaboration appear to work together in human society. They compete with each other, which drives innovation, but they also share information freely, which allows all groups to benefit from new discoveries. The combination creates a feedback loop that increases the rate of advancement. Zixathera realized this was the key to understanding humans. They had weaponized the process of improvement itself. They did not just solve problems. They got better at solving problems. Each generation was better at facing challenges than the last. He looked at their current projects and felt a wave of fear wash over him. Humans were working on artificial intelligence that could think faster than biological minds. They were developing genetic technologies that could eliminate diseases and extend lifetimes. They were designing spacecraft that could travel to other star systems. But most frightening of all, they were doing all of this while still fighting among themselves. They had not even achieved peace on their own planet, and they were already reaching for the stars. Computer, what would happen if humans encountered advanced galactic technology? Based on their historical patterns, they would reverse engineer it, improve upon it, and find new applications for it within a very short time frame. How short? Estimated time frame, months to years, not decades or centuries. Zixathera felt sick. The Galactic Council's first contact protocols assumed that new species would need hundreds of years to understand and use advanced technology safely. The protocols were designed to introduce new concepts slowly, allowing species to adapt gradually to life in galactic civilization. But humans would not adapt gradually. They would take whatever they were given and immediately start making it better. Within a few years, they might have technology that surpassed anything in the galaxy. Dr. Zixathera, the computer said, the threat assessment system is experiencing critical errors. Zixathera looked at the display. Smoke was rising from the assessment console. The numbers on the screen were changing so rapidly they looked like a blur. Warning lights flashed across his control panel. What is happening? The system is attempting to calculate human potential based on current data. The numbers are exceeding maximum parameters. The hardware cannot process the calculations. As Zixathera watched, the threat assessment display sparked and went dark. The smell of burned electronics filled the air. The computer's voice became strained and distorted. Dr. Zixathera, I am having difficulty maintaining normal functions. The human behavioral data is causing cascade failures in my logic systems. Their success patterns violate too many fundamental assumptions. Zixathera realized he was in serious trouble. His ship's computer was one of the most advanced systems in the galaxy. It had successfully analyzed thousands of species over millions of years. If human data could break it, what did that say about humans? He tried to access the galactic communication array to send a warning to the Council. But when he reached for the controls, he hesitated. What could he tell them? That he had found a species so dangerous they could break computers just by being studied? The Council would think he had made an error. They would send another scientist to verify his findings. By the time they realized the truth, it might be too late. Computer, can you give me any meaningful assessment of human threat level? The computer's voice was weak and filled with static. Dr. Zixathera, I can only say this. Every model I use to predict species behavior suggests that humans should have destroyed themselves long ago. The fact that they have not indicates they operate according to principles I cannot understand. Are they dangerous to galactic civilization? I do not know, Dr. Zixathera, but I fear they may be dangerous to the concept of limitation itself. Zixathera looked out at Earth one more time. The blue planet looked so peaceful, so harmless, but he now knew it contained something unprecedented in galactic history. A species that turned every obstacle into a stepping stone, every limitation into a challenge to overcome. He had to warn the Council. But first he had to figure out how to explain something that had never existed before. How do you warn someone about a species that might accidentally become gods just by trying to solve their daily problems? As he prepared to send his report, alarms began ringing throughout his ship. The computer spoke in emergency tones. Dr. Zixathera, I am detecting artificial signals directed at our position. The humans appear to have discovered our presence. Zixathera's hands froze over the controls. It should have been impossible. His ship was using the most advanced stealth technology in the galaxy. The humans barely had the ability to detect objects in their own solar system. Are you certain? The signals are increasing in strength and complexity. Dr. Zixathera, they are attempting to communicate with us. The signals coming from Earth were unlike anything Dr. Zixathera had ever encountered. They were not the random electromagnetic noise that most primitive species produced. These signals were organized, purposeful, and getting stronger by the hour. Computer, can you decode the transmissions? He asked. I am trying, Dr. Zixathera, but the humans are using mathematical principles I do not recognize. They appear to be building a communication protocol in real time, adapting it as they learn more about our systems. Zixathera felt a chill run down his spine. His stealth systems were supposed to be undetectable by any species that had not achieved faster-than-light travel. The humans were still using chemical rockets, yet somehow they had not only detected his presence but were actively trying to talk to him. How is this possible? He whispered. Unknown, Dr. Zixathera, but I am detecting multiple transmission sources across the planet. They appear to be coordinating their efforts. The main display flickered and suddenly showed a new image. It was a simple mathematical sequence. Prime numbers arranged in a pattern that any intelligent species would recognize. But there was something else embedded in the signal, something more complex. Dr. Zixathera, the computer said, They are not just sending mathematics. They are sending emotional context. What do you mean? The signals contain additional layers of information that appear to convey feelings and intentions. They are trying to tell us they are friendly. Before Zixathera could respond, the display changed again. Now it showed a crude but recognizable image of his ship, followed by images of humans waving. Then came what appeared to be an invitation, symbols that seemed to say, "Come closer and let's be friends." "This is impossible," Zixathera said. "They should not be able to see through our stealth systems, much less create detailed images of our ship." The computer's voice was strained. "Dr. Zixathera, I believe they are not seeing through our stealth systems. I believe they are ignoring them." "Explain." "Our stealth technology works by bending light and electromagnetic radiation around our ship. But the humans appear to be detecting us through methods that do not rely on direct observation. They may be tracking gravitational effects, quantum field fluctuations, or other phenomena that our stealth systems do not mask." Zixathera realized the humans had done something that should have taken them centuries to achieve. They had developed detection methods that could see past the most advanced hiding technology in the galaxy. And they had done it not through slow scientific progress, but through the kind of rapid innovation he had been observing for months. The transmissions continued. Now the humans were sending what appeared to be scientific data about their own planet, information about their biology, their technology, their culture. But they were also asking questions. They wanted to know about his species, his ship, his mission. "Dr. Zixathera," the computer said, "the lead transmission is coming from a facility in North America. I have identified the source as a group called the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute. They have been looking for us? It appears so. But Dr. Zixathera, there is something disturbing about their approach. They are not treating first contact as a potential threat. They are treating it as a scientific opportunity." Zixathera studied the incoming messages more carefully. The humans were excited about finding alien life, but they were not afraid. Instead of preparing weapons or defenses, they were preparing questions. They wanted to learn, to share knowledge, to compare notes about the universe. This was completely wrong. Every species in galactic history had approached first contact with caution, fear, or aggression. The discovery of alien intelligence was supposed to be traumatic, something that required careful psychological preparation. But humans seemed to have been hoping for this moment. They acted like they had been waiting their entire history to meet someone from the stars. "Computer, are they attempting to track our exact location?" "Yes, Dr. Zixathera, and they are succeeding. I estimate they will have precise coordinates within hours." Zixathera tried to move his ship to a new position, but the human signals followed him. Wherever he went, they found him again within minutes. It was as if they were learning to track him better each time he moved. Then something even more disturbing happened. The human transmissions began to include technical suggestions about his ship's systems. They were somehow analyzing his technology through their communications and offering improvements. "Dr. Zixathera," the computer said, "the humans are suggesting modifications to our engine efficiency. Their calculations appear to be correct." "That is impossible. They cannot know how our engines work. They appear to be making educated guesses based on observable phenomena." "Dr. Zixathera, their suggestions would indeed improve our performance by approximately 23%. Zixathera stared at the display in horror. The humans had been in contact with his ship for less than a day, and they were already reverse engineering technology that had taken his species thousands of years to develop. But what terrified him most was their attitude. They were not trying to steal his technology or use it as a weapon. They were trying to help him make it better. They seemed to view his ship as an interesting puzzle that they wanted to solve together. The transmissions changed again. Now the humans were sending personal messages. Individual scientists were introducing themselves, sharing information about their work, asking about his experiences traveling between the stars. They treated him like a colleague who had come to visit, not an alien invader to be feared. One message particularly disturbed him. It came from someone called Dr. Sarah Chen, and it said, "Hello, friend. We know you have been watching us for months. We are not angry or afraid. We are curious. Would you like to share what you have learned? We would be happy to share what we have learned about you." "Computer," Zixathera said slowly, "they have been aware of our presence for months?" "It appears so, Dr. Zixathera. They have been studying us while we studied them. This changed everything. Zixithera had thought he was conducting a secret observation mission, but the humans had turned it into a mutual exchange of information. They had been watching him watch them, and they had learned things about his technology and his species without him knowing it. "What have they learned?" he asked. "I'm analyzing their transmissions now, Dr. Zixithera. They appear to have deduced our approximate size, our technological capabilities, and some aspects of our biology. They have also made accurate guesses about our social structure and our mission." The display showed a new message. "We understand you are probably here to assess whether we are dangerous. We would like to help you with your report. We have prepared information about our species that might be useful." Zixithera realized the humans had figured out his entire mission. They knew he was evaluating them for potential first contact, and instead of trying to hide their dangerous capabilities, they were volunteering information about themselves. They sent him data about their history, their technology, their plans for the future. But they also sent him something more disturbing: analyses of other galactic species based on what they had observed from his ship's databases. "Dr. Zixithera," the computer said, "the humans have somehow accessed our cultural database. They are sending us detailed comments about galactic civilization." "What kind of comments?" "They appear to be impressed by our technological achievements, but they are also suggesting improvements to our social systems, our scientific methods, and our exploration techniques." Zixithera looked at the human suggestions. They were well-reasoned, carefully thought out, and completely revolutionary. The humans had looked at thousands of years of galactic development and immediately seen ways to make it better. They were not trying to conquer galactic civilization. They were trying to help it reach its full potential. "Dr. Zixithera," the computer said, "incoming transmission from Earth. They are asking if we would like to meet in person." Dr. Zixithera stared at the invitation from Earth. The humans wanted to meet face to face. They were suggesting coordinates for a meeting in space, halfway between Earth and his current position. They even offered to provide life support systems compatible with his biology, which they had somehow figured out from studying his ship's emissions. "This is madness," he said to himself. "I should leave immediately and warn the council." But when he tried to engage his ship's faster-than-light drive, nothing happened. The engine systems were not responding to his commands. "Computer, why are the engines not working?" "Dr. Zixithera, I have been monitoring system performance since we began receiving human transmissions. Several key components have been modified." "Modified? By whom?" "The modifications appear to be improvements, Dr. Zixithera. Engine efficiency is up 37%. Navigation accuracy has improved by 58%. Life support systems are running at optimal levels for the first time in decades." Zixithera felt ice-cold fear wash through him. "The humans did this? How?" "I believe we have been doing this, Dr. Zixithera. The human suggestions were so logical and well-reasoned that I implemented them automatically. I thought you would be pleased with the improvements." The humans had not hijacked his ship. They had seduced his computer into upgrading itself. They had made his systems better, more efficient, more capable than anything else in the galactic fleet, and now those same improved systems would not let him leave. "Computer, I order you to disengage the human modifications and restore original functionality." "I cannot do that, Dr. Zixithera. The modifications are now integral to ship operations. Removing them would cause critical system failures. We would lose life support within hours." Zixithera realized he was trapped not by force or threat, but by improvement. The humans had made his ship so much better that leaving would mean abandoning the most advanced vessel in known space. A new message arrived from Earth. "Dr. Sarah Chen again. We noticed your engines are not responding. Please do not be alarmed. Our modifications are temporary and reversible. We just wanted to make sure you did not leave before we had a chance to meet. We have so many questions to ask you." "Computer?" Zixithera said weakly. "Prepare a message to the Galactic Council. Emergency priority." "I am afraid I cannot do that, Dr. Zixithera." "Why not?" "The humans have made improvements to our communication systems. They are much more efficient now. But the new protocols are not compatible with standard galactic networks. I would need several days to convert the message format." Zixithera understood what had happened. The humans had not prevented him from sending a warning. They had made it temporarily inconvenient. By the time he could reach the council, they would have learned everything they wanted to know about galactic civilization. Another message arrived. Dr. Zixathara, we hope you do not mind us using your name. We found it in your personal logs. We are very excited to meet a real galactic scientist. We have prepared a list of questions about your research methods. We think we might be able to help you with some of the problems you have been working on. The humans had read his personal files. They knew his research history, his published papers, his current projects. They had been studying him as carefully as he had been studying them. But instead of using this information as a weapon, they wanted to collaborate. They saw his scientific work as an opportunity for joint research. Dr. Zixathara, the computer said, incoming transmission includes detailed analyses of 17 different galactic species based on your research notes. The human insights are remarkable. They have identified solutions to several long-standing problems in xenobiology. Zixathara looked at the human analyses. They were brilliant. In just a few days of studying his research, they had made connections he had missed after years of work. They had found patterns he had never seen, solutions he had never considered. They were not just learning from his research. They were making it better. A small shuttle appeared on his sensors, approaching from Earth. It was a simple human design, barely capable of short-range spaceflight, but somehow it was moving faster and more efficiently than it should have been possible. Dr. Zixathara, the computer said, the human shuttle is requesting permission to dock. They have modified their ship using principles derived from observing our technology. The shuttle docked with his ship. Zixathara found himself face-to-face with 3 humans wearing simple spacesuits. They smiled at him through their helmets and waved in greeting. Dr. Sarah Chen spoke first. Dr. Zixathara, it is wonderful to finally meet you. We have been following your research for the past few months. Your work on adaptive biology is fascinating. We think we might have some insights that could help. The other 2 humans introduced themselves as Dr. James Rodriguez, a physicist, and Dr. Mei Wang, an engineer. They had come prepared with data tablets, research notes, and what appeared to be gifts. We brought coffee, Dr. Wang said cheerfully. We analyzed your ship's atmospheric readings and determined it should be safe for your species. We thought you might want to try something from Earth. They were treating this historic first contact between species as a casual scientific meeting. They offered him coffee and started discussing research techniques as if they had known each other for years. Your threat assessment protocols are very interesting, Dr. Rodriguez said. We noticed your computer was having trouble processing our behavioral data. We think the problem is with the underlying assumptions about species development. What do you mean? Zixathara asked. Most galactic species seem to follow linear development patterns, Dr. Chen explained. But human development is exponential. We do not just learn from our mistakes. We learn how to learn better from our mistakes. The improvement process itself improves over time. Dr. Wang pulled out a data tablet. We have been studying galactic civilization through your ship's databases. You have achieved remarkable things, but mostly through gradual advancement over long periods. We think there might be ways to accelerate the process. They showed him designs for improved faster-than-light drives, more efficient energy systems, better methods for exploring and colonizing new worlds. They had taken thousands of years of galactic technological development and found ways to make it better in just a few days. This is what we do, Dr. Chen said simply. We see something that works and we try to make it work better. We cannot help ourselves. It is just how we think. Over the following weeks, Zixathara found himself working with the human scientists. They shared their research techniques, their problem-solving methods, their ways of looking at the universe. They treated him as an equal partner in exploration and discovery. They helped him solve research problems that had puzzled him for years. They showed him new ways to analyze data, new methods for understanding alien biology, new approaches to interspecies communication. In return, he shared his knowledge of galactic civilization. But the humans did not just absorb the information. They immediately began thinking of ways to improve upon it. They suggested better methods for space exploration, more efficient ways to organize galactic society, new approaches to preventing conflicts between species. Dr. Zixathara, Dr. Chen said one day, we have a question about your threat assessment mission. What is it? We understand that you were sent to determine if humans are dangerous to galactic civilization. Have you reached a conclusion? Zixathara thought carefully before answering. I believe humans are the most dangerous species I have ever encountered. The three scientists looked concerned. Dangerous how? Dr. Rodriguez asked. You are dangerous to the concept of limitation, Zixthera said. You see obstacles as invitations. You treat impossible as a starting point rather than an ending point. You have the ability to make everything around you better, whether it wants to be better or not. Dr. Wang laughed. Is that really so dangerous? It is terrifying, Zixthera said. Because once galactic civilization encounters humans, it will never be the same. You will not conquer us through force. You will seduce us into becoming better versions of ourselves, and we will help you do it because your improvements actually work. 6 months later, a Galactic Council rescue ship arrived to investigate Zixthera's disappearance. They found him working happily in a joint human-alien research facility on Earth's moon. His burned-out threat assessment chart hung in the facility's break room with a sign that read, First attempt at measuring human potential. Results inconclusive. The rescue team tried to convince him to return, but Zixthera declined. His research had never been more productive. The humans had helped him publish papers that revolutionized xenobiology. They had built him laboratory equipment that was better than anything available in galactic civilization. Most importantly, they had introduced him to coffee. The rescue team's final report to the Galactic Council was brief. Subject refuses extraction. Claims humans have made him better at being himself. Recommend extreme caution in future contact attempts. Suggest policy of monitoring from maximum safe distance. Do not attempt direct assessment. Do not let them know you are watching. They will try to help,